everybody, welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and industry professionals in the indie publishing industry. Today is going to be our Publishing Insider edition. We've got Burning Willow Press, Edd Sowder with us today, and we've also got a freelance editor and author, Jinxie Gervasio. Did I say that right?
Yes,
I did, great. All right, to introduce you guys today, and also say hi, David.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You can actually see me. Woo! That's a first.
We finally got him online and actually able to be seen for a first time ever, so yay for us.
I'm so glad and proud that I am part of the inauguration of bringing him to the light.
Oh, yes.
It's been such a work in progress figuring out the right way to record and edit and get these shows out for everybody. So this is definitely a step in the right direction. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And let's go ahead and get started with Edd first. So tell us about Burning Willow Press and how that all got started.
The short story for Burning Willow Press is my wife was part of another publishing group, and she had been accepted. She had contracts and everything in the works, and her books were getting ready to be published, but they were getting ready to cut some authors. So instead of taking the chance that they were going to cut her, she decided she wanted to do it on her own. Now, granted, I'm going to take a side note here. That same time that was happening, I had lost my leg, and I was in the hospital recovering from amputation surgery. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. Everybody who's met me in person knows I walk fine. I have no problems. I run around just as much as they do. I'm active. I work, everything. So I'm fine. It was a bad situation that I made a good one out of. And then Kendra comes to me in the hospital and goes, I think I want to start a publishing company. I'm high on morphine at the time, and I'm like, I'll be happy to bankroll it for you, no problem. The only thing I ask is that you make me a partner so I can keep an eye on what's happening. No problem, that's great. I figured when I went back to work in January, because this happened in October, we'd be fine. No, she meant right now. So I became a publisher before I was even out of the hospital. Since that happened, we decided that we were going to make it a publishing company based on what we can do for our authors. I try to bend over backwards for my authors, every single one of them. I care more about them sometimes than I do myself. So we built it as a publishing company built for authors, by authors, because everybody that works in this company with me, all of my staff members, God love them, every one of them is an author themselves. So they've been in and out of the business. They know some things about it. They have great insights. We've got some really phenomenal people working with us. And all of my authors are just top-notch. I love them to death, every one of them.
It's wonderful because you actually understand. Every single one of you guys actually gets it, because a lot of businesses are built around business people hiring the creative types. Well, you guys are a business who you consist of the creative types, which is honestly how I believe businesses should be run anyway. And it sounds like it's really personal for you guys. I love it. That's great.
I get an author that comes to me and has a problem, I'm going to figure out whatever I can do to make them happy. It's more about them than it is us. Burning Willow Press is run completely financed by Kendra and myself. And a lot of people don't realize that it costs a lot of money to run a publishing company. We've only been in business since November of 2014, and we're going to have over 50 books out by the end of 2017.
Wow, congratulations, guys. That's so cool.
That is a lot of typing for me, too, because I do all the contracts. I hire the editors and staff. I bring new talent in. I bring sci-fi acquisitions. There's a lot of hats that I wear. We can't talk highly enough about Sharon Paris, who just released a book through Premier Press called the Dark World series. Her first one came out a couple weeks ago, and she's one of our acquisitions managers, and she does a phenomenal job of finding talent. I mean, she really knows her job. And she does it out of the kindness of her heart because she loves it. So we can't thank our staff enough. They have really, really propelled us into the spotlight and made it to where a lot of people want to come to us because we care about them. We're not just looking at dollar signs. Don't get me wrong. Now, we do look at dollar signs, but we look at more at what can we do for this author. I will fully negotiate pretty much every contract that I have. Probably 75% of the clauses in the contract that aren't legal terms can be negotiated. And every author's got their own unique contract. So they don't get a cookie-cutter contract with me. Every one of them is handwritten by me. I write them all out. I type them all out. I give them all everything they ask for to a degree, give them as much as I possibly can without giving them the keys to the doors.
Let me stop you there because I want to go in more in depth in what a contract entails and what the steps to publishing are. So we're going to come back to you in just a minute, Ed, but I do want to make sure we introduce Jinxie as well. And Jinxie, she's a freelance editor. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Jinxie?
Freelance editing? I just started it by editing for friends, you know, critique partners and other writers here and there, and started out just, you know, doing it in exchange for edits of my own. Just started, I actually ended up editing for a certain author, one of the best-selling authors, Shannon Mayer, and I got that job by doing a book review. I used to write book reviews for a living, and I had reviewed her zombie-ish trilogy. She could have used a good copy edit. I do honest book reviews. She contacted me after that, and I did several. I did her entire Riley Adamson series, actually, and then she sent the zombie books to me and had me do those too. So, and then she sent me clients from there. So it's just kind of built. It just keeps building. So.
Word of mouth will do that for you. Now,
yeah.
What type of editing do you provide? Do you do copy editing, line editing? Do you have different rates of service for each type?
I do mostly line and copy edits. I didn't used to have time for content editing because my job, I wear many hats, so I do a lot of different things. I had to scale back some stuff because I kind of became overwhelmed. I do have time for a little bit of content editing now. So I'm just starting to work that back in. My rates are about $30 to $50 an hour. That's just for editing. Coaching, I do about $65 an hour.
And are you currently working on any projects right now?
I just finished an edit for someone, a line edit. She should be releasing it probably in the next month or so. I just finished my book, so I'm getting ready to figure out what book is going to come out next.
That's one thing we really need to stress to authors, you know, of all levels, is editing is a step you cannot skip at all. Yep. You can't edit your own work. You can't have, you know, your mother, sister, brother do your, you know, read through and proofread. You have to have an actual editor who knows what they're doing, look through your work, and correct it properly.
Of course, and Jinxie was actually my editor for the Rainblade, so that was a lot of fun. She, you know, it had already seen like 6 people for beta reads, and then I hired her, and she tore it apart, and, and there were 1,000 changes or more that I had to implement.
And I didn't sugarcoat either, did I?
No, ma'am. It's a much better story for all of the changes that you suggested, so thank you.
No now, problem. David, how did you find Jinxie?
I met Jinxie because of Juliet, which is my father-in-law's manager, and we got to talking, and we actually had a very...
You asked lots of questions.
I did, yeah. I remember we had a dinner where I spent the entire time, about 2 hours, just talking with Jinxie. I was asking her questions and stuff like that, and this is before anything had ever happened with the Rainblade, and then we stayed in contact, and then eventually she agreed to be my editor, which I was really excited for. I sent her my manuscript, and she did it, and I was heartbroken but also happy. And and I listened to like 95% of the things that you suggested. So again, thank you.
No problem, my pleasure.
Now, Ed, as a publisher, do you have like a stable of editors that you go to, or do you have any one specific editor that works for you?
I have 6 editors that work. Every one of them is free to go and do freelance work whenever they want to. We've got one right now who's taking some time off to catch up on her freelance work. I've got 6 editors and 2 PRN, kind of a medical term, you know, we need you, we're going to call you kind of thing, that are on standby whenever I need them. So I've got a staff of 8 editors. I've got a staff of 7 proofreaders that read it after the editors. After it's formatted and after the editors, they try and catch anything that doesn't make any sense or any typos that may slip through. I've got several graphic artists. Got a pretty big staff.
Now, run me through the process just really quickly of the different steps from when you see a manuscript and accept it to publish to
Okay.
what needs to happen before it actually becomes a book.
Okay, let's see. So you wrote the best book in the world and you want to get it published. You submit it to, say, Edd Sowder at Willow Press. It's a sci-fi. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to thank you for your submission, and then I'm going to, my submission guidelines are I want the first 3 chapters, a synopsis in the first 3 chapters. You can't catch me in 3 chapters, I don't want it. They wrote a great story, so the first 3 chapters come through, I like it, I want to see more. They send me the whole manuscript. I'm reading the rest of the manuscript. In the back of my mind, I'm reading this book, and because I have a degree in biophysics, I'm trying to take apart everything scientific that they have in it, because this is the way my mind works. If they've got through that, and then it goes, I read the whole thing, and then I offer them a contract. We go through some negotiations. Once a contract's signed, after that, it goes to a beta group. The beta group reads it, and then it goes to an editing group. The editing group gets a hold of it, and they rip it apart, stab it with stuff, make it look all red and bleed, and send it back to the author. The author then has the opportunity to approve everything, approve most of it, or contact me if they are questionable on what the editor is thinking. 9 times out of 10, they just approve most of it. Then it goes to formatting. The whole time this is going on, though, I've got a graphic artist building a cover art for them, working hand in hand with them to give them exactly what they want. And it's not done until they say it's done. After that, the book goes to format. Then it goes to proofreader, and once the proofreader gets a hold of it, so after that, it's ready for publication. That whole process can take several months, but when we get started, it happens very fast.
I can already tell that you guys are upfront about everything.
I have a very transparent company. We have an author and staff page on Burning Willow Press that if you're a signed contractual author with us, whether you're in my anthology series that I put out every year, or you're with a novel or a novella, you are in that group, and anything that happens to the company, I'm posting about it and telling them, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're working on, this is what we're doing next, this is what we're thinking about, what do you guys think? And get a say in it too. If they want to get on board, then yeah, absolutely. But it has to be more than 50% that are willing to do it, or we don't do it. Because if not everybody's on board with it, then we feel like it's probably a bad decision and we need to reevaluate the decision. Usually they get on board because anything that can get their book out faster or more to more people, more readers, they're going to jump on it.
My next question for you is, you produced a book, and so now how do you guys support your author in like coming up to the launch and post-launch? Do you guys also allow, do you guys also support them online, making posts, representing it?
Absolutely. I post probably something every single day about 1 or 2 or 15 or 20 of our books every day on all the major social media outlets. I also will write little blurbs about them. Like we got one author, David Owen Hughes. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's quite a character. He's got a book series that he's put out called Wind Up Toy. And the thing about Wind Up Toy is that this guy, the main character in this book's name is Simon, and he lives in the UK, so it's spelled with an E on the end. But the guy is he could be your next door neighbor. He's just a shy guy that wants to make a friend. Problem is that he is also a mass murderer. He wants to bring you home so you can meet his toys, which his toys are his friends.
I don't like it.
It's a very deranged story, but he's got some other stories that came out with another publisher, which he asked for permission for, and we granted it to him. They're friends of ours, and we said, yeah, that's no problem at all. But David's books are very dull, they scare me. And that's from the beginning, because I grew up reading Stephen King and Stephen King.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we support them as much as we possibly can. Now, every author needs to support themselves a good bit too. Because what I tell new authors is that, look, if you don't believe in your work, why should I? I want them to succeed, so I'm going to do everything I can.
Something that a lot of people, both on the indie side and the traditional side, need to know is that they have to promote their book aside from, if they're with the publisher doing promotion for them.
Right. If you think about it, and I read this in a blog, if you think that your publisher is going to do 100% of the marketing for you, you are very wrong. Because what do they have? They have 50 or 100 or 300 or 5,000 authors that they have to spend equal amounts of time on. So if you've got 100 authors, you've got 1% of their attention. The sun and the moon do not rotate around you. You are not the center of their attention, but they've got everybody. Now, granted, Burning Willow Press, my company, we try to spend every minute of the day thinking about our authors, but I can't spend 100% of the day doing it. And I can only spend so much time a day working with each author. And I hate to say that and make it publicly known, but I'm not Superman. I can't do it all.
No, it is true. Every author does have to take ownership of their book as far as promotion, and that's something that a lot of newer authors don't quite understand yet. And one of the things we've been talking about on various episodes of the show are different ways that we go about promoting books, using newsletters, using social media, Goodreads, Facebook, Twitter. These are all things that every author should be looking into, regardless of whether they're indie or whether they're traditionally published.
Absolutely.
Now, Jinxie, let's go back to the editing for just a minute. Edd had mentioned taking a couple pass approach to each individual book. When you look at a book, how many passes do you generally take with the author?
Content edits are at least definitely 3 passes in depth, because they're so in depth and so much developmental editing, so you have a lot to cover. Line edits and copy edits. The author gives it to me. I go through and I do a line edit. I read every word, and I can see spaces without really concentrating. I go through the whole thing once. I will basically sleep on it, and then I will go back through it probably 2 or 3 times before I give it to the author. And they usually don't need to come back to me. If they do, it's no charge, but that's pretty much how I do it.
Do you use like track changes, or how do you put in your editing notes?
Yeah, I actually prefer track changes. I have had one client that she wanted to use Google Docs, and that was very strange because when I was in editing, she could actually go in there and see me editing, and it was just a very weird experience.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like having somebody looking over your shoulder, and I really hate that. But she's cool. She's a friend. I've known her for a long time. So.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the editing?
Yeah, I've been editing probably freelance for at least 6 years.
That's a good long time.
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in English, and my core class that I had to have for the degree was actually a criticism course, so.
Well, that's just perfect then.
Right? Of course, my paper was on Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, have you ever dealt with an author that disagreed with what you had suggested? And if so, how did you deal with that?
If it's a client, I pretty much stay up front as David. Uh-oh. Crap, my phone's turning off.
And Jinxie has left the group.
Well, we'll have to come back to that question. Let me turn that over to you, though, Edd. What happens when an author doesn't agree with your editors or your team of editors when it comes to their book?
Well, they send it back to me. I don't agree with what so-and-so said here. I think that they're full of it or whatever. Okay, well, let me look at it. What line is it? They'll say right here on page so-and-so. Okay. Go and I look at it, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to try and look at it from both sides. One thing that I have read, and it was in Stephen King's On Writing book, it said that editors edit, writers write. Both of you do the job to the best of your ability. Editors are there to make your book better. They're like a director for a film. They will take your film and make it mass marketable. That doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly what it was. It's going to be better. If an editor looks at it and it doesn't make any sense to them because they're looking at it outside, you got to try and get that through the author's mind. Look, they're looking at it from the outside of the box looking in, so they can see all of it at one time. And if you're an author, I'm an author, my wife's an author, we love our editors. And when our editors make a suggestion, that's what it is. It's a suggestion. You disagree with it, fine, you're allowed to disagree. But if it's going to make the story better, please listen to it. Now, I have a hard time sometimes getting that through some authors' headstrongness, which I'm headstrong myself, so I understand. With Burning Willow Press and some of the newer contracts, the editing staff will make suggestions, and then we hold the final say. Burning Willow Press, as the publisher, holds the final say. Because if they're just being completely not compliant with it, and I feel like it needs to be changed, I'm going to make that change. I want them to have the best story possible. Now, if they can grant me the reason why they want it to stay that way, then yeah, more than likely, if it's a good enough reason, I'll just leave it alone and say, look, we're going to leave it like that. 9 times out of 10, that doesn't come up though. Most of our editors do such a good job that they're almost like, wow, I love what you did. It's great. Or I love what was said here. It's awesome. You know, they don't really cause too many of a big fuss about it. It's pretty self-explanatory, though. I mean, they give suggestions, say, I think it would work better if it was wrote like this, or how do you feel about this particular word? They do track changes like Jinxie does, and it works pretty well for them. So if you've got suggestions in there that make sense, then a lot of times, you know, authors are intelligent people. You know that. You're an author. David, you know that. You're an author. You guys understand that authors are some of the most well-read and highly intellectual people on the planet.
But we can also be stubborn.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody wants to mess with my baby, you know? I mean, I understand. I get it. I'm an author, too. Nobody messes with baby. Take baby out the corner, you know? The thing is that editors are there to make it better. And if you can keep that in mind, your editing process will go a lot smoother.
A lot of authors and just creative people in general, we're very protective over what we create. And some people are unwilling to basically let your project become what it wants to be. And I think that's an important thing to do is you have to listen to what you're creating in order to make it the best it can possibly be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a two-way relationship.
Yeah, and the editor's there to make it better. So if your editor states that, hey, this sentence doesn't make any sense, can you reword it? Please try.
From what my experience has been with editing, it's not so much content that there's ever an issue with. It's usually just the line-by-line stuff, and there's no reason to tell the editor, no, you're wrong, this is the way it is. Because they're the expert on that.
I've only had one author do that, and I didn't publish their story because of that.
Yeah, usually with content, it's the editor kind of leaves the author to deal with the creative side of it. They're dealing with that technical side, and they're usually the final say on it.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. But
now that we've got Jinxie back, Jinxie, did you want to go into any explanation on what you do when you're talking with authors?
I was going to say at the beginning that was, and I think David knows this, I'm pretty blunt. I leave a little note right at the very beginning in track changes that tells you this is, reader reactions. This is a suggestion if it needs to make the change. I'm very blunt, and I tell them right up front, I don't sugarcoat anything. If you have any questions, by all means, I am approachable, even though people are intimidated by me, because I'm like 6 feet tall.
It's not personal. It's business. You're hiring this person to help you make your book the best version of it that it can be. And it's not personal. It's not any judgment against you or your work. It's, like you said, a suggestion from your perspective, to improve it. I have a question for all of you guys. Okay, so what do you do once your book is out? So I'm wondering, personally even, what do you suggest, like, as far as like submitting to competitions and contests and stuff like that, like book awards? Because some people that I've spoken to, when you have that little sticker on your book, they feel it makes you more legit, right? Okay, so once your book is out there, it's been out there for a while, you have a nice little bit of reviews and stuff like that, do you suggest running it in competitions? And if so, what kind of competitions should an author look for?
I was going to say, it's kind of a loaded question because for me, as an indie, just like with a publisher, you're paying everybody out for your book. So to get that book out, you've already paid for editing, you've already paid for cover art, you've already paid for formatting, you've already paid for marketing. So you're already starting out in debt when that book is published.
Yep.
So for me, when it comes to awards and such, I'm not looking for awards that are going to cost me any more money at this point. I'm still trying to recoup my cost on books before I start shelling out more money. So I look towards competitions that are either free or very low cost, or if there is a cost, what the award will do for you. Is it a recognizable award? Is it something that other people know? Is it something that offers advertising as a prize? I look at what you get out of it if you do win, rather than just submitting to anything I see.
The Summer Indie Book Awards thing is a bragging rights thing. I mean, you get the little tag on it. There's some other perks to winning, those prize packs, stuff like that. It's not a bad deal. Now, I had an author come to me the other day, and he said, I think it's just a popularity contest. Yeah, most things like that are popularity contests. So, I mean, the idea there is to get your book in the hands of readers. The more people you get your book in the hands of, the more popularity it's going to gain. That's the idea of an award situation like that, or a voting situation. Now, this one is really kind of neat because you can vote for multiple authors all across every genre. It's not just, oh, I voted for, like, I have to vote for my wife. I mean, regardless, if I don't, that's going to make it kind of hard to sleep next to her every night. So, but yeah, you can vote for your wife or your best friend, and you can go and vote for people you just met, like Katie. I can go vote for you. I can go and vote for Carrie Ellen Denny. I can go vote for Mark Reef. I can go vote for any number of authors out there that are on the list that I'm personal friends with. It is a popularity contest, but it's also to get your name out there too. So that's why I suggest you should do it.
Okay, and so H.D. Gordon had some advice for us a while ago. She suggested that you can do a lot more online for a lot less money than, say, what we have just done the last, we just visited Palm Springs for Comic-Con Palm Springs, and that was it was an investment of time and money. So what is your opinion on online versus in-person boothing? What has worked for you and your authors, and you as well, both of you, all of you. What have you guys found success in?
I go to conventions not necessarily to make a fortune. I'm not going there to sell out. I'm not going there to get every single book that I brought with me sold. It'd be nice if I did, but realistically, it's not going to happen. Last convention that Kendra and I went to for Willow Press cost me over $1,000 to go and come back. It was $1,000 right off the bat. You go there to meet people that can put your book in the hands of other readers. I go there to meet new fans. I go there to meet potential readers. I go up to people at these conventions, and I've never met them before, and I'll ask them, what do you like to read? Now, I've got a friend who does that same thing, but he does it a different way. I don't know if you guys know who John Hartness is. He has this approach where he looks like a version of Wolfman Jack. You remember him? He's kind of an older guy with a beard, kind of gray. He's a good author. Don't get me wrong, he's a great author.
I do.
He'll sit there and he'll go, hey, come here, buy my shit. And for some reason it works. Well, I guess because he looks like a teddy bear, it works. I can't do that. I don't look like him. So, but I approach everybody. They stop by the booth. I'll ask them what to read. Now, I give away a lot of stuff, too. So, I mean, I give away books.
Yeah, giveaways are a good approach. And I think we did that at our Palm Springs booth. We gave away a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. We gave away bookmarks. We gave away candy. I actually really like the mystery wheel, where you can get everything from bookmarks to stickers to posters to books. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun, and a lot of people were digging that.
Yeah, it was definitely a draw to the table, and that was the key. Anything to get people to the table to get you talking.
So to sort of summarize, digital versus in person, what works better for you guys? What have you seen that works better for you guys?
50-50 on me.
50-50? Okay.
Now, does Burning Willow do Create Space for their print-on-demand publishing, or do you use Lightning Source?
Both.
Both? Okay.
It's really easy. There's a lot of tools online that you can utilize when you're approaching, to make a book on Create Space and stuff like that. So it's a rich resource, so if you're interested in writing, go ahead and check it out.
Create Space is the cost-effective, I think, print-on-demand publisher because they offer you the ability to publish using their ISBNs, using their sales channels without any direct cost to you. Lightning Source, or I believe it's Ingram Spark, allows you to do the same thing. You're allowed to do the print-on-demand publishing, but you get a little bit more flexibility in pricing and discounting But because of that, there's also a yearly fee for distribution channels, as well as their proofing and initial insertion fees are higher.
Okay, so are there any other topics that you guys want to cover in the next 10 minutes or so about the business end of publishing? Is there anything else you guys would like to say?
Keep writing.
Yes, always keep writing.
Never stop writing. You never know when that next bestseller is going to come out of your mind.
Finish the first book. That's the biggest hurdle.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. Finish your first book. That's your first hurdle. That technically took me 3 years, but it's done. I'm hoping the next one won't take so long.
If you write every day, it happens. You know, even if you write as little as 500 words a day, throughout the course of the year, you'll have a couple of books written.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Hey Jinxie, can you give us a quick rundown on Dusk of Death really quick? Which congratulations on your launch, by the way.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, happy here.
Tell us a little bit about it, please. Ta-da!
Was a angel. She fell from heaven. She was a Grigori, and she demon, and then she fell from hell. And now, and now hell wants her back. So she's human now. So and hell wants her back. So they're coming after her, and she's gotta take care of business.
Now, what book number is this for you, Jinxie?
6th one I actually finished. I actually wrote this in 2007.
Wow. But, you know, it does take a while to get through all the steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
exactly.
Ed already mentioned, you know, you go through, on the traditional side of it, you go through the acquisitions, and then you go into the different reads and edits. But the same thing with the indie side of it, too. Once we're done writing the book, we have proofreaders, we have beta readers, and that's our initial, you know, readers that help us to do revisions. Then we have to go through editing. Then we have to go through cover art. We have to go through formatting. So we go through all the same basic steps, only, you know, the timing of those steps is different for each of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. With my company, it happens very quickly because I have a staff that does it. And you know, my company takes 100% of the risk, whereas with an independent solo artist or author where you put it out self-pub, you're taking 100% of the risk, but you get 100% of the gains back. And that kind of works out for a self-pub person, provided the book sells quickly. If it's slow to sell, then you're out all that money and you're waiting on that book to sell. So it's kind of a catch-22 on which is better. You know, if you're a big publishing house like, you know, Simon Schuster or Weinstein Group or something like that, if you don't produce 1,000 copies a day, they don't want to anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And even, you know, the mid-list authors with the traditional houses, they still have to do a lot of the marketing themselves. They have to put themselves out there, just you know, the same as all the indies out there as well. You have to market your own book. You have to champion your own book. You have to gain those readers yourself.
You know, honestly, I hope that anybody who listens to this that's an up-and-coming author realizes that it is a job, and you have to put your heart and soul into it to do it right. It's a full-time job to be an author, too, and it's a full-time job to be a publisher. It's a full-time job to be an editor. And anybody who has a day job, too, comes home and does this into the wee hours of the morning. I have a day job. I build prosthetic limbs, but I still come home and do this every day. I mean, it's what I love. It's passion. I do it for every one of them.
I was gonna say you guys must really love it, so that's why you keep coming back for more.
So some days are worse than others, granted, and there's some days where there's a lot of alcohol consumed in the office while we're working. But we love it every single day, every minute of it. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. I've had a lot of fun. I've met some phenomenal people, and I get to meet people like you guys on at least a weekly basis. I'm doing one of these things now, and I really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of my way of being able to get my authors' names out there by me doing this and hopefully maybe some of my authors. I know you boys have already talked to Kendra. She's not my author, but she is my author because she's under my company's name too. So if you guys wanted to talk to any other authors, just let us know. We'd be happy to set it up for you guys. And
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Every one of them is hungry. They want to get out there. They want to get their names out. So that's important. You got to be hungry. You got to be willing to take that chance, take that first step, get your name out there. Keep writing, no matter what you do. Keep writing every single day. I've got a friend named Santiago Cirillo. He used to be on The Walking Dead, and he's coming up in the world of acting, getting some real stuff out there. He's got this thing that he says a lot, is live life. And you've got to live your life. If you want to be everything you can be, you can't give up on your dream. And you put that pencil down, put that ink pen down, close that notebook, shut that computer off, you just gave up. Keep writing. You'll get better every time you write.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a great ending note for our viewers. Just as a reminder, just to keep working at it, keep going, keep writing, keep putting new things out.
How many books have you edited, do you think, in your 6 years?
Sorry, what was your question again?
The question was, how many books have you edited?
Oh, God. My website.
We can just ballpark it. A couple hundred, couple thousand?
Oh, not that many.
Okay. You've done a series. You mentioned earlier that you'd done a series. You did all 7 books for this one author, or whatever it was, right? So in that time frame of doing all those books for that one author, did you see evolution in the writing style? Did it get better as the story went on? I think she froze up on us again.
Yeah, I think she did. That was a good question, though.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think the answer would be yes, because, as you work on anything, you get better at it.
Right.
Evolution, yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I see that with our authors, too. When they submit the second story in their series, like if they've got a 3-book series coming out with us, they submit the second book, the writing is evolved. It's better. It doesn't look like it's been stabbed to death by Norman Bates when it comes back from edits. It looks, slightly worse, but not quite like it's bleeding to death. So, they get better. And every time the author writes, they get better.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It does. It definitely does. Now, speaking of links, Ed, make sure you send over any links you want us to put in the description at the bottom of the show here. And then we'll do the same with Jinxie's links as well. That way we can push people towards Burning Willow. We can push people who are looking for a new editor towards Jinxie as well. Share the love a little bit.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Spilling Ink. For the first time, you can actually see me do this. So I want to thank Ed and Jinxie for joining us on today's show, and as always, my lovely co-host Katie. So we will see you guys next time on Spilling Ink. Bye.
See, that wasn't so hard, was it?